a kid comes in talking about journalism and creating an all sports newspaper, and this guy is telling me no.
Many times I failed, but I got back on my feet, so that's why I'm undefeated. No.
Like, I was a kid who was, 9 years old, and all my friends were talking about being doctors and lawyers, and I was like, I want to be a sports writer. They're like, what? I was like, yeah, I want to have a column in the newspaper. I want my picture in the paper, and I want to write about sports. And I started a little home newspaper that I passed out to my mom and dad and my sisters. I would go to the drugstore, write it on my typewriter, take it to the drugstore, have them copy it, and then hand it out like it was a newspaper.
At age 9?
Yeah.
Oh, man, that's amazing.
And then this is probably the craziest story, but when I was 16 in high school, the high school newspaper took forever to come out. The process took too long.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to the principal's office and I said, hey, I want to start an all sports newspaper that comes out once a month on time. And he looked at me and was like, no, we're not doing that. The kids are only going to throw it on the ground. We don't have money for it. I mean, this is supposed to be an educator. Can you imagine a kid comes in talking about journalism and creating an all sports newspaper, and this guy is telling me no. So, and that's why you got to be careful about people who are in education and people who are there, and don't let them, burst your bubble and tell you not to go for your dream. So I didn't listen to him. I said, well, what if I raise the money myself? If I do, can we do the paper? He said, yeah, if you pay for the printing costs, no problem.
Mm-hmm.
I went home, kitchen table, my typewriter. I wrote 3 letters to the 3 publishers of the 3 newspapers in New York: New York Times, the Daily News, and the New York Post. The Daily News was my favorite paper. I didn't get a response back from them. The New York Times sent me a letter, and they said it was against their company policy to help other people start newspapers. Can you imagine a 16-year-old kid in high school getting a letter as if I was going to be competition for the New York Times? If somebody actually sat there and wrote that letter to me. And then the last letter went to the New York Post. I get an envelope, I come home from school, I see an envelope, my name on it. I see the New York Post and the return address. I open it up, and guess what? There's a check for $50 in 1980 to start my newspaper.
Man, that's amazing.
And here's the significance of it. The guy who was the publisher for that paper was my boss at FS1.
Oh, wow.
Rupert Murdoch, who runs Fox.
Uh-huh.
Rupert Murdoch was a newspaper publisher at that time. That's who I wrote my letter to. I don't know if he did it, or whoever, secretary or whatever. But my letter was addressed to Rupert Murdoch, who was the publisher of the New York Post. Sent me a check for $50, and here we are, 37 years later, or whatever it is. It's amazing. And that's how I got started.
Many times I failed, but I got back on my feet, so that's why I'm undefeated. No.